Hey everybody, welcome to Mistakes Were Made. We are in a little bit different setting. We are actually at our computer desk. I am at work. I am taking a break from work so that we can do our budget with me for the second pay period of September. If you have been following our channel, welcome back. If you are new, here's a little bit of information. We do break our budget up by pay period, so that looks like the 1st through the 15th of the month, and then the second pay period would be the 16th through the end of the month. We are focusing today on that second pay period for September. This is going to be a little bit awkward because this is not the normal place where we do these things. I also have real irritation with this Band-Aid, so I do apologize. It looks kind of ganky. It does need to be changed. Basically, I really need one of those little chainmail gloves that you're supposed to use when you do use a mandolin. I just need to use it anytime I'm using anything sharp because apparently I cannot be trusted with knives or anything like that. So anyway, that is why my thumb is now all band-aided up. It is feeling much better than it was before. It's still a little bit tender, but I apologize. We're just gonna have to deal with the ugliness of the Band-Aid. Anyway, let's get started because this is a very important period of time for us. The second paid period of September is when we are anticipating that we will be able to pay off the Reflect card. We do not have a lot of specific known information for this pay period yet, just because of the timing on when I'm doing this particular video, but everything on the spreadsheet that I keep does appear to show that we will be paying it off. Where we'll have some question is the what kind of money is going to be left over at the end when we finish this, and will we need to use all of that in order to pay off Reflect, or will there be some left over to get a nice little jump start on Discover? Let's see where we end up. Okay, so first of all, like I said, this is going to be very awkward. September 16th through 30. And I will zoom in. Hopefully that'll help a little bit. Not with the actual moving of the paper. That's going to be weird. So as I said, we do not have any information like we normally would do. Usually we would know what Mr. M's paycheck is going to be at the very least, but the timing for it to drop into the account, even as a pending, it just wasn't there. So we're going to use the $18.75 minimum that we have come up with for him. We are also going to use the $2,225 minimum for my pay because same situation. We are not expecting any miscellaneous income. We do not do any kind of speculation on what we might get from Etsy. And I will say, because my shop does a lot in like craft supplies, we'd start to really see things slow down as we get into the winter months. And they haven't been like high flying as it is this year. So I wouldn't be surprised if we do not see any Etsy income for this particular pay period. The buffer rollover, we are going to just do the generic $200 flat because again, we have not finished this current pay period, the 1st through the 15th yet, so we don't have any specific numbers. Okay, I've got my fancy calculator here, and we are going to add 1875 plus 2225 plus 200, which gives us $4,300 for our income for the month, or for the pay period. Now our mortgage is pretty static, expecting $875. We do not pay any of these during this particular pay period, so we'll move down to our other costs. So PGE, we have received a bill for it, and it should be $129.69. However, this may actually reduce simply because, and I don't know if this is something that goes on in other states and stuff, but our electric company, if there's going to be like a particularly hot day or a particularly cold day where they're going to anticipate higher usage for electricity, they'll send something out saying, hey, you know, if it's safe for you to do so, can you try to reduce your electric usage during certain periods of the day? We already try to limit our heavy usage of electricity between 5 and 9 p.m. because that's what we were told was like the more expensive time period. So no washing clothes, using the dishwasher, trying not to be in and out of the freezers and refrigerators and stuff. But we don't go, you know, probably far enough. We have our overhead fans on. We watch TV. We have our computers on constantly, which we really shouldn't do, but it's a pain in the butt to have them constantly reboot, so we just leave them on. But we did have 2 of those days, and in both cases we did get a notification that we were given a little bit of a credit because we reduced our usage compared to other times. So this might come down, probably not by a month much, maybe $1, $2. The gas bill is $22.80. I would love for that to be the same throughout like the winter, but that is not going to happen. Our garbage bill, like everything else, has gone up. We did get a notification, I think it was probably a couple of weeks ago, saying, hey, by the way, an increase has been approved. It should result in about $1.95 per month of an increase on your bill. It went into effect August 1st. We did get our newest bill, and looking at it, we used to pay $74.20. The new cost is showing us $78.10. However, we were being charged $80.05, and for a moment there, I was just kind of like, why are we having to pay extra money? Because there was essentially an extra $1.95 charge on there. Now, our bill is an every other month bill, and what I finally realized was, oh, okay, this bill is actually for September and October, so it bills ahead, which means the last bill was for July and August, which of course means when that new fee came into play, they didn't have the opportunity to add that extra $1.95, and so they tacked it on to this newest bill. So unfortunately, that does mean it's going to be $80.05, but going forward, it should be $78.10. Still more than what we were paying before, but I guess it could always be worse. Our internet, $101, and then our cell phone bill is $90. It'll be less than that, but we'll just use the 90. So let's add those together. I need to make some adjustments here because this is a little bit awkward. Okay, we got $875 plus $129.60 plus $22.80 plus 80.05 plus 101 plus 90. Okay. I think that looks right, but I'm going to do it again. 875 plus 129.69 plus 2280 plus 80.05 plus 101 plus 90. Okay. I don't think that changed any. Oh no, I think it may have changed a little bit because I think I forgot the 9 cents there. So total we have $1,298.54. And then we're going to subtract that from our 43 over here. So 4,300 leaves us with a remaining income of $3,001.46. Okay, next we do fund our emergency fund during the second pay period, so that's $25. we are going to, for now, treat this for the buffer rollover as just the generic $200. We will figure out what the change should be, as well as any potential extra savings after we've gone through this process. So our total here is $225. And then once again, we will add 220. Oh, there is a heck of a glare there, isn't there? 225 to that, which means we are looking at $2,776.46. All right. I will probably never ever do this at our computer desk again. There's just not enough room. And the only reason why we are not at the dining room table is I don't want to make too much noise because Mr. M is sleeping. He worked a shift last night and he does work in the overnight, so I just don't want it to be too loud. And I wanted to be available if somebody needs me at work, because I am on a break, but you know, I've got team members that I need to be available to support. So I'm keeping an eye on stuff. As far as our cash envelopes are concerned, we've got $13 for AAA, $12 for birthdays. We do not do car maintenance this pay period. $12 for Christmas, $5 for clothing. We don't do dining out, entertainment, or garden yard. We have $100 for gas. We do $5 for gifts, but giving is not done this pay period. We have $300 for groceries because we do budget $100 per week, and we use Monday as our gauge as far as whether it's how many grocery weeks we have in a month. And this month is a magic month for groceries because there are 5 Mondays in the month. So the extra grocery week fell within this second pay period. Health gets $10. Nothing for household. $11 for licenses. $160 for pets. $12 for prime, and $20 for taxes. Now, oh boy, I think in a last video I kind of talked a little bit about my concerns about taxes. That is for the Etsy shop. We are saving money to pay anything that income may add to our tax burden. With things slowing down, though, we may need to revisit this amount, simply because if we're not selling as much, then we obviously aren't going to be paying taxes on as much, and the $20 may end up being overkill if we're not really bringing in any volume. So I already know, adding these all up, that this is $660, so I'm just going to note it there. And then we can take our 2,776 and 46 cents and minus 660 gives us $2,116.46. All right, heading into the debt side. Okay. So we're just going to cross this out because it's no longer accurate. During the second pay period, we do have a $250 payment for Discover. And then, of course, we have our second of 2 payments of $488 to Reflect. If you are new, the reason why we do 2 payments of $488 is because our entire budget to go towards debt is $1,226. $250 of that goes to Discover. The remainder previously was divvied out amongst different debts that we owed. As we paid them off, we snowballed them into the next debt that we were focusing on, and that has resulted in us having Reflect as the current focus, and the payment ballooning up to $976, I believe it was. $976 is a lot of money to be taking out all at one time, and to try and keep our first and second pay periods a little bit in balance, we elected to divide that amount in half. So we do $488 during the first pay period and $488 during the second. So a little info for you. So now this is going to be, when we add it all together, $738. And if we take, oh god, weirdo goober, if we take where our remaining and we subtract the 738, that leaves us with $1,378.46. All right, then we have my allowance of $30, which drops us down to $1,348.46. And then last but not least, we have the $100 auto transfer to savings to cover our long-term goals. The one we're focusing on right now is the yard cleanup. Let's scooch down here, $100, and we can just do the math really easy with that. That leaves us with $1,248.46. Okay, so first and foremost, as long as my job continues, we are going to always do our 75-25 split of any extra money that is left over after we've accounted for all of our standard costs. That goes for debt and for savings. And so even if we, actually, I don't think I want to say that. If we were to be able to pay off all of our shared credit card debt, we might change how we handle any extra remaining money, but we will potentially also be juggling the job loss and the change to how our income is impacted at that same time. So that might be an opportunity for a lot of kind of changes to current processes. But for now, we've got $1,248.46. We are going to subtract 75%, which gives us our 25% of savings. So that's going to be $312. And then we're going to take that $1,248 and subtract the $312 from that. So now we know we have $936 for debt. So we're going to pause right here and do a little bit of cleanup. Over here we know $312 is going for savings, and then that the change for the rollover will be 46 cents. I'm also going to note here $936 for the extra debt payment, simply because I keep on forgetting to do that step once we're done. But if you've been around, you know that's not where we stop, because we do still have 2 open credit cards. We are going to triage this amount again so that we can determine how much is going to go to Reflect and how much is going to go to Discover. For now, we are going to assume that all monies are going to be needed for Reflect in this case. And so we're just going to do our standard procedure of making the payment for Reflect either end in 00, $25, $50, or $75. So with 936, that means we will be allocating 925 to go to Reflect, which then means we will have $11 because we'll just do the math right here. $11 to go to Discover. Okay, let me note that before we go any further. So we have $11 and $9.25. Okay, so excellent. Where we're going to have some question. First of all, the expectation is going to be that this income will have some kind of increase, not just because there's a possibility of Etsy income, but the pay period that pays for, or the paycheck that pays for this time period for me is the first one of the month, comes in on the 15th, and it usually has an incentive amount in it. I have no reason to expect that it won't this time, though there's always the possibility. It's just a case of I don't know how much that will be. We are, of course, always hoping that Mr. M's pay will be much higher than the bare minimum that we're expecting he could be paid. So possibility of some increase there, which will ultimately then, of course, affect this. Why is that important? Looking and speculating about how the current pay period, first pay period of September, will end, it is showing us that we absolutely will need the money, both the $488 coming in just as our standard payment towards debt for Reflect, as well as at least some of this $925 to pay the Reflect down. What we're not sure is exactly how much of the $925 is going to be needed. It's 100% sure we're going to need some of it. Obviously, the less we need to pay Reflect off, the better, because that means we will be able to boost how much we are actually going to be paying to Discover and kind of jumpstart that debt process, payoff process for our last credit card. And of course, if we are going to have more income, then this number should increase as well. So unfortunately, I don't really feel comfortable putting down what we're currently speculating the amount we'll need here is. We will leave that to whatever the actuality is when we do our budget recap for the second pay period of September, which is going to be at the end of the month. But very, very exciting that we will be working on bringing down Discover after this gets paid off, and that should be at the end of this month. What does debt repayment look like as far as our shared credit cards are concerned after this point? Well, Discover's progress is exceptionally dependent on how long my job lasts. I can say unofficially, because I have not been given any official word, and this is just me kind of reading the tea leaves, that it appears we will be working in October. I say that with a grain of salt or a hint of caution because there is supposed to be a hearing. I want to say it's on the 16th, maybe it's on the 23rd, and the discussion that goes on with that hearing, there is a possibility that it could result in a decision that says, you know what, September, once it's done, everything's done, at least for our department, for my purposes. And so then October ends up not being part of the conversation. That said, it could also just be a case of October is already kind of expected. Again, this is unofficial. I haven't been told that this is the case. And so any decision making during that hearing would be reflected in whether we're actually working in November. So what does that mean? If the job goes away in September, September is the last time that I am working for my current company, the paycheck that I will get at the end of September, just my standard paycheck, will actually pay for the first pay period in October. That's been the case as long as we've been doing this. So we would still expect there to be at least some amount of decent leftover income, which would of course help significantly move the needle on Discover. But after that, we will be augmenting our budget with the savings that we have in place. And we are not budgeting during the job loss at the level that I'm currently being paid, this $22.25. Instead, we are budgeting to replace only the amount needed to get to our standard budget of $5,900 based on Mr. M's payment or paycheck using his minimum, the $1,875 or $3,750 for the month. So essentially $2,150 is what we will be pulling out each month in order to pay our bills. So that means the possibility of leftover income is going to be significantly diminished. Definitely will not be seeing numbers like this once we get into the second pay period of October, if I am not working through October. And that will, okay, I need to make sure I'm explaining this properly. If everything goes to plan as we have it laid out in our spreadsheets, no deviations from the budget, no unexpected costs, then we could see Discover being paid off by the end of February. If I am working through October, again, that would then mean that first pay period in November would be at my current pay rate. That would boost the pay speed to the end of January. I'm trying to remember everything that I looked at before doing this. If I am lucky enough to work through January, and this scenario would also be the same if I work through December, the expectation would be, again, everything has to be perfect and match how we have it laid out in the spreadsheet. We could see payment of Discover at the very earliest being in the second pay period of December, but get paid off by our standard debt payment, which for Discover will snowball to the entire $1,226 that we budget for that, and we will just break that up into two payments of $613. So in the second pay period of December, that $613 payment should bring us to zero on Discover. And if I'm remembering correctly, there should be a little bit of money left over after that payment option is available. So we wouldn't need the full $613. Now, if we're working all the way through December, then that means there would be also the opportunity for leftovers. So we would have a little bit left of the standard payment plus leftover to then decide how are we going to utilize that. Now, as I mentioned in a previous video, we do still have debt that we are going to be pursuing. We have been focusing on our shared credit card debt so far. Mr. M does have a car payment. He does have a credit card or line of credit, something like that. Both of those are solely in his name. Both of those get paid using his checking account. So we're going to have to figure out the best method for us to have any available extra money that's going to go to debt, make it to where it needs to go. The earliest, of course, that will come into play, if everything works out the way we would like it to would be during that second pay period, at the end of the second pay period in December. And then, of course, going forward into the next year, which is not off the table for me to be working. It's a very, 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 very big unlikelihood, but it's not off the table. Even if we stop in December, that first pay period in January would still be covered by my standard payment, so there would or check, so there would still be some potential for a decent leftover income. And of course, then, you know, how are we going to utilize that? So all goes well except for the job front. End of February, the job gets extended just a little bit. End of January. If it gets extended through November, then we're looking at December, the end of December, to pay off Discover. So again, all of that is very speculative. That is still, you know, 1 month, 2 months, 3 months into the future. So many things could happen to derail stuff, but that's what we are looking at. Our next video will be the budget recap for the first pay period of September. That's going to be in a few days because we obviously haven't closed that out yet, and we will be able to get some concrete numbers as far as where we stand on the Reflect card and what will be left to be paid during this second pay period. So I'm looking forward to that. I hope you are too. I appreciate you watching. This has been a heck of a ride. I am so excited about Reflect. And, you know, even though we're looking at potentially February for Payoff on Discover, to me, that's still amazing, especially if we will also be working under limited income because my job goes away. So lots of stuff is going on right now and right here. So as far as the job is concerned, basically we're still living under that month to month, not knowing exactly what we're doing, where things will land, and you know, that it is what it is. So, but again, I am very lucky and blessed that we have been able to stay with the job as long as we have. I am always going to be grateful for that and be putting positive vibes out into the universe to maintain that income stream, because it has been so impactful on our ability to pay our debts off. And I want to ride that train as long as possible. All right. We are up over 30 minutes, so I am going to close this out. Again, thank you for watching. If you have any feedback, suggestions, things that you just want to chit chat with or say hi, please note those down below in the comments. I have been thinking, you know, maybe I should be doing more videos, but I'll be honest, I'm not entirely sure what I would do videos on. So if you have any suggestions on things that you would like to see from me, topics you'd like me to cover or anything like that, hey, note those down below as well. I'm very happy to get suggestions on that. All right, well, we'll see you in the next one.